When the first jet of oil burst forth in Venezuela in 1914, the people of this small community never imagined the story of boom that was about to unfold, and the rise that would transform their lives, turning it into one of the richest and most prosperous cities in the Americas, but that years later they would see their own fortune decline. But also, it was here that the modern history began, which would turn Venezuela into the fourth largest economy in the world. A city so important that it was the first to have electricity, the first to have a movie theater, and even the first to have its own streetcar in the country. It has the lake with the largest reserves of fresh water on the planet, and over it, the largest pre-stressed concrete bridge in the world. But most importantly, in these waters lie the largest proven oil reserves in the world today, far surpassing countries like the United Arab Emirates. With all this city could today be the other one, the Dubai of the Americas. Get ready to discover one of the most fascinating cities in Venezuela. Welcome to the city of Maracaibo. 102 years ago, right on the shores of this vast lake, a huge oil gusher erupted. It was so big that it could be seen from 45 kilometers away. And it would mark a before and after in the history of Venezuela and this city. Welcome to the Kingdom of Maracaibo, one of the most important cities economically speaking, and the second most populated in Venezuela, with almost 3 million inhabitants. It had its golden age, when it was one of the cities that contributed the most economically to the country. Continuing our journey along the city's wide avenues, the iconic 5th de Julio Avenue and Avenida del Milagro stand out. These streets are without a doubt a reflection of what the importance of oil and Lake Maracaibo meant for the development of this city. The wealth generated by this industry has undoubtedly left an indelible mark on the history and the landscape that we see today. One of the largest buildings where hundreds of families live together in this place. The style is interesting because it was modeled very much after the buildings in Miami during the 1980s. And this is all part of El Milagro Avenue. There's the Intercontinental Hotel. Another of the most notable points in the city of Maracaibo, without a doubt, has been the drop in real estate prices. It's gotten to the point that, for example, look at this building. How many apartments are for sale? 1, 2, and 3 apartments in the same building. And you see this in so many places. As you go through the streets, you see apartments for sale, houses for sale, or even some properties that are just empty. This, as I've been telling you, is due to different factors. 1 is the excess supply of properties. 2, the massive migration, which has also led to a lot of listings and opportunities. Apartments that at one point could have cost $40,000 or $50,000 in these areas, well, nowadays you can easily find them for $15,000 or $17,000. In fact, in other parts of Maracaibo, you can find properties for around $6,000 or $7,000. And these are some of the better maintained areas of the city, where you can see the roads are in good condition and it's a safer place. This is another reality that people experience here. We dive into the hustle and bustle of downtown Maracaibo, where colorful markets unfold before our eyes. Here you'll find the Caceres Hospital, central to Maracaibo, one of the oldest in Venezuela, and where some pretty interesting stories take place. And here, very close to downtown Maracaibo, stands this imposing hospital that has been here since 1608. We're talking about a place that's over 450 years old. It even has a church incorporated into it. But behind these white facades, which hold many stories, there's a rather unique legend. And many of its workers say that in these hospital hallways, you can still hear the footsteps of a nun who still appears in these places. Very close to this place is also the Wayu Market. Art, crafts, and traditional Venezuelan culture come together in a burst of colors and shapes that remind us of our roots. And does this have any meaning? Or is it basically just decorative?
Every single individual drawing here has a deep, significant meaning, but right now, it is more about trying to show exactly what is truly representative of the entire collection.
Okay, of what is your culture? That. And you speak? Way you? Sí, un poco. Can you say something to the people watching us, inviting them to come here to visit your shop?
Bueno, hoyan sin haye, bueno, te invitan en haya. El día que antes en haya en manta, haya en goma, haya en un casantus, pura nevera tu. Bueno, es sin has por hante. Bueno, wata pen hay.
And this market continues because it's quite big. Even though some businesses are closed, they still keep these shops open, showing a bit of the tradition. But look, years ago, all these shops back here were completely full, and nowadays there are only a few left, around 10 active shops. On this side too, maybe many of these people have emigrated, maybe they're working in other kinds of businesses, but the important thing is that they're still active. These people here are working and carrying on day by day, showing people and keeping the tradition alive, the culture and tradition of Venezuela's indigenous peoples. Right here, very close by, is Plaza Bolivar and its impressive cathedral, inviting us to stop and contemplate the history of Maracaibo. The statue of Simón Bolívar, the liberator. It stands in the center of the plaza, reminding us of the struggle for independence. One of the most important places in downtown Maracaibo, where public institutions are concentrated, such as the governor's office, Plaza Bolivar, and other significant monuments in this area, the Maracaibo City Hall, and right next to it, the Central Bank of Venezuela in Maracaibo. These are iconic buildings in the city center, and where most of the social activity in this region takes place. And like every major city in Venezuela, it has to have its legislative palace, where the city's laws are made. Maracaibo is more than just culture and traditions. It's the first city in so many things. The first city in technological innovation, the first city that screened a movie, and the first city to bring the first theater productions, which came together in this spectacular building. And today it stands as a reminder of that golden era, of everything that was experienced in this place. And this is the back of the theater, and it's so old that part of the original structure is still preserved, making it quite a sight. It's like a reminder of how these grand buildings were constructed over 100 years ago. Honestly, the city. From the very beginning, there was an evolution in the construction of grand structures, like the governor's office, a huge building with a colonial style, or its cathedral, which is right next to it, and interestingly, is not home to the Virgin of La Chinita. But just like that, over the years, more and more impressive buildings were constructed, making Maracaibo one of the most imposing and important cities in the Americas. However, the phenomenon of immigration has affected even one of the most populated cities in Venezuela. In the past, this plaza used to be full of people who came to spend the day or do some activity. One of the most important plazas is Plaza Bolivar. And today, you only see a handful of people, maybe because of the effects of immigration. The economy in this city is still holding up. It's still growing, and there are still thousands of people who are committed to staying in this country to move forward. Maracaibo is more than just oil. The city shows different faces depending on where you are located. This is one of the most crowded places. This is what's called the Boulevard de la Chinita. Very close to here is the monumental church of Santa Barbara, built back in colonial times. It's like this whole area is full of churches. The cathedral, the church of Santa Barbara, and further ahead is the Basilica de la Chinita. Well, I want you to see this because honestly, this place is really striking. How they've built all of this. This huge church made of stone and brick. It even has the camels from a nativity scene, maybe. If there is one of the most beautiful places in Maracaibo that you absolutely can't miss when visiting the city, it's the famous Paseo La Chinita, a place that's so striking and huge. Plus, it's great for walking. The best advice for coming here is to try to come really early in the morning, just like I'm doing now. It's 11 in the morning and it's not as hot as it could be, since today is a bit cloudy. But starting from noon, it's pretty much impossible to walk around these places because it gets so hot. And actually, look, I want you to see, because honestly, it's really well taken care of and beautiful. This place, look at the benches. All the walkways and everything, but you hardly see any people. But that's also one of the main reasons. The heat in this city makes people take shelter to avoid exposing themselves to these high temperatures. Now I understand why you see so many shaved ice vendors on every corner of this city, because honestly, dealing with the heat here is no joke. I want you to see something, because I think I found one of the most impressive places in this city. Without a doubt, look, the image of La Chinita, a monument created in honor of the patron saint, which commemorates the importance of this virgin for the city and for the state, Zulia, and even for Venezuela. An icon, without a doubt, that you have to see. After you visit the monument to La Chinita, there's a huge plaza with fountains. And something that catches my attention is that you can see quite a few people working, keeping this place spotless. Well, honestly, this area of the city is really beautiful, but it does contrast with other parts that are a bit more neglected. But this place, yes, it's truly worth visiting. It's impeccable. For many people, seeing these images might even bring a bit of nostalgia. And so I'm bringing this to you so you can get an idea of what this city is like. The beloved city of the sun, the city of Maracaibo. Look how beautiful it is. People working, the shaved ice vendors on one side, and look. And we can't leave out the Basilica of Chiquinquirá, a sacred place for the people of Maracaibo, where faith and devotion come together in a single embrace. And you might ask, why do they call the Virgin of Chiquinquirá Chimita? According to what they say, it's a reference to the Guajiro people, who have Asian-like features. It was the year 1749 when a humble woman, washing clothes on the shores of Lake Maracaibo, saw her appear floating. A small wooden board, which she picked up and took home to cover a water barrel. After several days had passed, she heard a loud bang on her roof. Right where the little board was hanging, the image of the Chinita appeared.
Chinita mía chiquinquirá, protégeme, que por los caminos que ando, y donde yo esté cantando voy renovando mi fe. Ahí tienes fuego, Guajira.
Without a doubt, Maracaibo is more than just culture, more than just traditions. This is the land of the Gaita, and here the people have embraced the tradition of Gaita music as something truly their own. And this is where that popular music was created, the one you hear in every Venezuelan home every December. Gaita is so important to the people of Maracaibo that it's used to celebrate festivals, but also to honor the Virgin of Chiquinquirá. Like this gentleman, who with such devotion shows a bit of what the culture and tradition of Maracaibo's Gaita is, as something unique. Maracaibo being one of the largest cities in Venezuela. Here they thought big about everything. And of course, they couldn't miss having the largest cable-stayed concrete bridge in the world, the bridge over Lake Maracaibo. Rafael Urbaneta. Look at this, how impressive the views are from this place. But also, here in the state of Zulia, not only do they have the longest cable-stayed concrete bridge in the world, here we have the largest freshwater reservoir on the planet. I mean, these people have everything in the biggest way. Without a doubt, Maracaibo is a city and Zulia itself a state that has been underestimated. And maybe people haven't really given this region the true value it deserves, for Venezuela and even for the world. And this line of buses we're seeing here, this is already the road from San Francisco to Maracaibo. Well, these are buses waiting in line to refuel because it's for gas. And, well, the typical lines you see all over Venezuela, they happen here too, just the same. Avenida 17 de los Áticos is, let's say, a business area. There are shipyards and different types of companies. Some are currently operating, and others used to operate some time ago. The thermoelectric plant, which is right next to it, is one of the most important plants in Zulia State. One of the richest states in Venezuela has perhaps been one of the hardest hit by the country's economic crisis. The streets are filled with stories, no doubt, that reflect the challenges faced by the residents and citizens of this city, so characteristic of Venezuela. And it's definitely a place you can't miss. It's Santa Rosa del Agua, one of the most impressive places you'll see in the city of Maracaibo, and you can come visit it from anywhere in the city. This is part of what makes up the stilt houses of Santa Rosa, a place where you can observe the traditional stilt house culture of the Wayu people, a place that tourists might also choose to visit to eat. If you want to try traditional food, here you can see the traditional houses, how they're built on stilts. These ones are made of concrete with sheet metal walls. And other types of houses, like these, which are made of wood. Look, traditional stilt houses that are perhaps the beginning of what is Venezuela's history as one of its main architectural structures. It's interesting how people tell me that this place, Santa Rosa, was at one point one of the most dangerous places in Maracaibo, but now it has improved. Let's say the security has improved to the point that now many people come to visit and learn a bit about the culture of this place. And this is the Vereda del Lago, one of the places where hundreds of people come every afternoon to relax and spend the day here. Very close to here is the famous Rafael Urdaneta Bridge over the lake. You can see it in the background from here. People have told me that you can take different types of boats to reach the nearby islands. You can go with them to Lake Maracaibo, but the safest way to travel is on these kinds of boats, because believe it or not, there are still pirates on this lake today who board small boats in the middle of the lake and could rob you. That's what some people here in Maracaibo have explained to me. And there's something, without a doubt, that you can't miss in Maracaibo, and that's one of the most traditional icons when you visit. Here, it's the famous shaved ice treats that
lemon, tamarind, mango, fish, pork, and peas, or stingray.
How many years has this been here? You've been selling for 32 years? I imagine you've seen everything happen in this place. Oh, you're Colombian.
But life in Colombia has always been tougher. Here it's harder because you have to pay for electricity, water. What happened is that Venezuelans used to live the good life, but when things went downhill, they felt bad.
This beautiful place not only offers a stunning view, but it's also the site of the naval battle that freed Venezuela from Spanish rule. A story of courage and determination that still echoes among the people of Maracaibo. With more than 1,943 square kilometers of area, this important place was the site of the Battle of Lake Maracaibo, which marked the beginning of Venezuela's freedom and history. A park has recently been created here, precisely in honor of this battle for independence. This is part of the emblem representing what the Battle of Lake Maracaibo meant on July 24, 1823. Right next to the emblem, you can see it sailing at this very moment. A large cargo ship that reminds us we are in one of the most important and richest states of Venezuela. And even now, in these waters, you can still see huge ships like these, loaded and driving the economy of this place. Between lights and shadows, Between stories and challenges, the narrative of Maracaibo unfolds before our eyes. A story that, without a doubt, brings to mind the strength of Venezuelans in the face of any adversity. And above all, every day there will be more people who want to fight and bet on a country that has everything it needs to move forward.